days don't seem so wet. Stormy nights don't stay. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know.
Hello. I'm sorry I was late. Let's go to comments. All right. I'm sorry. We ended up my son had computer problems. Well, it started out. My husband wanted one of those curved monitors. So last week when he was home from work, we got him a curved monitor. So he had dual monitors that were like this big and huge monitors. And he had triple monitors on his computer, but now he has the curved monitor that's 36 inches plus another monitor on the side. Well, I was installing the dual monitors on my computer, and CJ took my dual monitors for his computer, but it ended up they didn't work on his computer because he had one of those all-in-one computers, and it didn't work on there. So he ended up, we had to buy him a whole new tower. And so we got him a new tower, and I was in there installing the antivirus with my husband when I got the message from Amanda Panda to, it's time to go live. She sent me a time clock. Welcome in, chat. Thank you. The moment it's tapping that button. 1 moment, please. Hi, Brown Eyed Girls. It's good to see you in here. Amanda Panda, it's good to see you. I guess there's only one of y'all here now. Whoever the StreamYard bot is that's always in here, hi. Okay, so first things first. Share screen. Not WordPress. There it is. Unless y'all want to see inside my inside the back door of my website where I'm editing for sale items. Okay, here's my fair use disclaimer. My desk is all jacked up. My fair use disclaimer. I got a new member yesterday, so we're back up to 675. Come look at my son. He dyed his hair red.
Hey, YouTube. Viper here. What's up? You got Amanda with you?
I got Amanda Panda, Brown Eyed Girls. He dyed his hair red. What do you think? His hair was as black as his face is.
Oh, hush. Hey, can we do blonde next time?
It'll go blonde by itself because that's a demi-permanent. So that's going to wash out. And then your hair will be blonde, the blonde it was before. But you got to remember to use soap on your face and get the dye off because it came off my hands when I took my shower.
Okay.
So you got to use soap on your face, okay?
All right.
Would you please let me do my shower, my live?
Your shower?
Let me take my shower by myself.
I'm going live shortly after dinner.
Okie doke. That kid. I love him to death. I couldn't trade him for the world. Sadly, he'll be.
I'm worth nothing but a measly little dime. You'll let me trade me off.
You're worth more than a dime. There is no amount of money that could replace you. So anyway, he's my kid. All right. So anyway, today we are going over this case. Let me turn on a little bit of music here. That sounds like drama. Viper, hi. I have returned. He's on his phone. He can't tag anybody. All right, so I'm going to bring this full screen. And it's going to start out with the jury reading the verdict. So, back it all the way. All right, let's go.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, find the defendant, Nichole Rice, not guilty of
It was an unprecedented.
So, it took 18 years of being in court since she was a college student and she had a roommate. They were both 18 years old. And her roommate's stepdad had not heard from her in 3 or 4 days. And the mom couldn't find her. So the stepdad happened to be in town where they were going to school. And he went to check on her. Well, somehow the maintenance guy had gone to do something that morning and he found her window screen taken off the window and it had been cut, and he just picked it up and threw it in the window on the floor, didn't even look to see what was in the bedroom, and he went on about his business. And then that afternoon the dad knocked on the door and he couldn't get in. So so and the dad couldn't get in and everything, and so he went to the office, and the lady at the office, she says, I can't just let you in. Well, they went over to the apartment and he showed her, that he looked in the window and he saw his daughter there. And that's crazy. I don't know what that was for. Okay. Hey, H. Davis, how are you? So anyway, the verdict came in today, 18 years later, and it was not guilty.
Unprecedented courtroom display in North Dakota after a woman is cleared of murder accusations that have dogged her for years. We're going to take a look at what police say happened to Anita Knutson back in 2007, how authorities came to settle on her roommate Nichole Rice as their prime suspect, and the impact a cold case television show had on this investigation. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime.
Brown Eyes, did you hear the verdict? Okay, good.
I'm Jesse Weber.
Thank you.
On June 4th, 2007, Anita Knutson was found stabbed to death in the bedroom of the apartment she shared with
Not
Nichole
guilty.
Rice. She had been
Thank you,
attending
Amanda.
Minot State University after graduating from high school in Velva, North Dakota. And despite the girls knowing one another in high school, their relationship, by all accounts as roommates, turned out to be quite acrimonious. Family members of Anita said that Rice's behavior was so erratic and unpredictable that Anita asked her father to install a lock on her bedroom door, giving her somewhere to escape from Rice. But then on the other side, you got former friends of Rice who have said it was actually Anita. It was Anita who was mean-spirited and vindictive, even allegedly unplugging Rice's fish tank, killing her fish. A lot of back and forth here. Now, in a sad turn of events, it was actually Anita's father who was the one who
I think it was just, they might have gone to school and they might have been civil with each other in high school or whatever, but their personalities may have just clashed. Their personalities may have. Sometimes you get around people people that I went to school with that we didn't get along in school. We're excellent friends now. People I never even thought I would be friends with, I am friends with. Now, I always do ever since I moved to Arkansas. And do what? I'm keeping an eye on chat. Why? What's wrong?
Nothing, just Amanda.
Amanda isn't doing anything wrong. She's one of my mods. She's my only mod. She is very pretty, but your personalities, when you become an adult, I don't know how it happens, but when you become an adult, your personality just changes from what it was in junior high and high school. Unless you're nobody's grandma's watching. Sorry. I just had to throw that in there.
discovered her body, his own daughter, after no one had heard from her for several days. He wasn't able to get Anita to answer the door, and it was locked, so he requested the property manager let him inside, and that's when a maintenance man, Marty Annell, approached, pointed out that the window screen for Anita's bedroom window was sitting off to the side with a slash in it, and when Gordon Knutson, the father here, looked through the window, he spotted his adopted daughter face down on the bed, covered in a bloody robe. Officers determined that Anita was cold to the touch, had likely been dead for some time. And when they moved her body to the floor, they reported that a bloody knife tumbled out of the bedding. Now, a forensic pathologist determined that Anita bled out after being stabbed twice in the chest. And despite Minot police initially theorizing that an intruder had murdered Anita, no arrests were made. Over the years, various offers of rewards were made for someone to come forward with information, but this case went cold. In 2018, the Minot Police Department brought in Detective Macaulay Talbot to re-examine the evidence, fresh eyes, speak with people about the murder that happened more than 10 years before. And there were several people being eyed as potential.
Do you think it was self-inflicted? Or do you think it might have been the maintenance man? Because the maintenance man did unalive himself. I don't know.
Suspects. The maintenance man at the apartment complex I mentioned before, a man who apparently wanted to date Anita, but she wasn't interested, and another male friend of Anita's. Now, Rice, who was then known as Nicole Thomas, was also kind of in the mix as a possibility. But then you fast forward to 2021, and Minot Police partnered with Cold Justice. You might know this TV series. It's one that has outside investigators look into cold cases across the country. So using all their resources and techniques, detectives were finally able to narrow their investigation down to one suspect, Nichole Rice. They cited her inconsistent statements after Anita was found dead, as well as her apparent lack of reaction when she found out her roommate had been violently killed. And they also cited an alleged confession.
That's what this guy's doing, is telling the whole story from the beginning. Do you want me to back it up? I think so too, Amanda Panda. It just hits. it was either self-inflicted, which why would she cut the window screen if it was self-inflicted? And or it was the maintenance guy. Hi, April T. Welcome in. Welcome in. Did you hear the verdict on this case, April T? Do I need to back up? It's only a few minutes. Okay, let me back up.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, find the defendant, Nichole Rice, not guilty of...
It was an unprecedented courtroom display in North Dakota after a woman is cleared of murder accusations that have dogged her for years. We're going to take a look at what police say happened to Anita Knutson back in 2007, how authorities came to settle on her roommate Nichole Rice as their prime suspect, and the impact a cold case television show had on this investigation. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. On June 4th, 2007, Anita Knutson was found stabbed to death in the bedroom of the apartment she shared with Nichole Rice. She had been attending Minot State University after graduating from high school in Velva, North Dakota. And despite the girls knowing one another in high school, their relationship, by all accounts as roommates, turned out to be quite acrimonious. Family members of Anita said that Rice's behavior was so erratic and unpredictable that Anita asked her father to install a lock on her bedroom door, giving her somewhere to escape from Rice. But then on the other side, you got former friends of Rice who have said it was actually Anita. It was Anita who was mean-spirited and vindictive, even allegedly unplugging Rice's fish tank, killing her fish. A lot of back and forth here. Now, in a sad turn of events, it was actually Anita's father who was the one who discovered her body, his own daughter, after no one had heard from her for several days. He wasn't able to get Anita to answer the door, and it was locked, so he requested the property manager let him inside, and that's when a maintenance man, Marty Annell, approached, pointed out that the window screen for Anita's bedroom window was sitting off to the side with a slash in it, and when Gordon Knutson, the father here, looked through the window, he spotted his adopted daughter face down on the bed, covered in a bloody robe. Officers determined that Anita was cold to the touch, had likely been dead for some time. And when they moved her body to the floor, they reported that a bloody knife tumbled out of the bedding. Now, a forensic pathologist determined that Anita bled out after being stabbed twice in the chest. And despite Minot police initially theorizing that an intruder had murdered Anita, no arrests were made. Over the years, various offers of rewards were made for someone to come forward with information, but this case went cold. In 2018, the Minot Police Department brought in Detective Macaulay Talbot to re-examine the evidence, fresh eyes, speak with people about the murder that happened more than 10 years before. And there were several people being eyed as potential suspects. The maintenance man at the apartment complex I mentioned before, a man who apparently wanted to date Anita, but she wasn't interested, and another male friend of Anita's. Now, Rice, who was then known as...
Amanda Panda says, I think the maintenance guy was in the process of replacing the screen, but that really doesn't make sense either, because if he was a maintenance guy, he would have had the key. That's right, Amanda Panda. That is a good point. A very good point. He would have had to. But, you know, in another interview I did, I saw the maintenance guy said that he was walking by and found the screen on the ground, just picked it up and threw it through the window. Now, why would he do that and not notify the property manager? That doesn't make sense.
As Nicole Thomas was also kind of in the mix as a possibility. But then you fast forward to 2021. And Minot Police partnered with Cold Justice. You might know this TV series. It's one that has outside investigators look into cold cases across the country. So using all their resources and techniques, detectives were finally able to narrow their investigation down to one suspect, Nichole Rice. They cited her inconsistent statements after Anita was found dead, as well as her apparent lack of reaction when she found out her roommate had been violently killed. And they also cited an alleged confession that Rice made to her ex-love interest. In March of 2022, Minot police officially arrested Rice. She posted a $120,000 cash bond, and it would be several more years before this case would even go before a jury. There were various hearings, continuing.
Good thing she didn't wait in jail. Good night. I'm telling you, I could not post a $120,000 cash bond. They'd have to put my house up for that. Oh my house isn't paid for either. Whew. But she knew she would, or she believed she wasn't guilty. She knew, she knows the truth. She knows whether she's actually guilty or not. But at this point, because the jury came back not guilty, she cannot be charged again. So, but, wow.
Plus, it was revealed that there was a serious prejudice against Rice in the Ward County jury pool. After all, this case had been fodder for the rumor mill in the area for more than a decade. And of course, you got the Cold Justice episode that had aired by that point. So a lot of emotions, a lot of opinions were running high. So a change of venue motion was granted, meaning everything was moved to Grand Forks County with the trial scheduled for January of this year. But then, just weeks before that trial was supposed to start, Rice's lead attorney apparently resigned. So her new lead counsel, Richard Sand, asked for more time to find more evidence that supported Rice's plea of not guilty. And so that finally brought us to March 18th, 2025, 18 years after Anita was so viciously killed. This is when Rice's trial finally got underway. Little side note here, but I think it's pretty obvious from our content, the need for personal safety, right?
I didn't know that. I know the one time I went to jail, I had a $200 bond to get out. And my dad paid to get me out. And then the next day, I told him, when I asked him, I said, I'm not asking you to pay to get me out because you didn't get me in here. I said, I'm the one that got myself in here. I said, but if you'll get me out, I get paid tomorrow and I will pay you to get me out. And he came and got me out. And after going to court 3 times, and the other person that was involved in the court case didn't arrive at court either time, the judge just dropped all the charges. So I don't know what happened to the money for the bail bondsman, because I guess he just kept it all. But I ended up giving my dad $200. So if he only had to pay $20 to get me out, boy, that man made a killing off of me. Well, I guess he wanted to make sure that if I didn't show up or something, that he had the $200 to pay the rest of the bond with, I guess. I don't know. But it all worked out in the end.
Right? And that is especially true when it comes to one of your most valuable possessions, your wallet, your cards, your cash, whatever it may be. Crime's up. You got to protect yourself in 2025. And that is why we have partnered with Extra Wallet. This is awesome. It is a smart wallet designed for speed, security. Can save up to 40% in total. So upgrade your wallet today by clicking
Dakota. Anita had dreams of becoming a teacher. She was a college student at MSU. And when she was a student at MSU, her roommate was Nichole Thomas Rice, known as Nichole Thomas at that time. The state intends to show you evidence. There was bad blood between these two girls, and their living situation was highly toxic. The state intends to show you evidence that on the early morning hours of June 3rd, 2007, Nichole Thomas Rice stabbed Anita Knutson twice in the chest, killing her. You're going to hear from a number of witnesses who established this timeline.
If the police said her body was cold to the touch and she had been unalived for some time, then it wouldn't have been the early morning because her dad was there at like 10 o'clock that morning. And if it was, yeah, that just don't seem right.
I did a trial back in September. It was another murder trial. And my trial partner made a statement during closing that's echoed with me for a while, where he said, crime loves silence. Now, in that particular case, we had a defendant who had killed someone who could have blown the lid off of a pretty big drug operation. But that phrase...
Where else does that phrase stand? I'll show you. Right. Right there. Crime loves silence. There is so much silence that it speaks volumes in the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case. That it's just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Now, he could have paid your bond outright since it was so low. You usually go to a bondsman for large bonds for that reason of having to only pay them X amount and then they run through. Oh, I see. I see. Well, either way, it ended up case dropped, so there's no charges against me or the other person involved. So that was good. And I don't have any problems with the other person that was involved, so. All right, let's go back to what she's.
Stuck with me. Crime loves silence. As you have heard, this has been a cold case. Ms. Rice was not charged with this crime until 2022, 15 years after it happened. It's a bit of the tortoise and the hare.
Lori Vallow. She's the one that had the 3-year-old daughter, am I right? Brown girls. Is she the one that put her 3-year-old daughter in her car and buried her car in a muddy ditch? And then her dad found the child like 30 days after it had gone unalived. I can cover the case if you'd like me to, but it's gruesome. No? Okay. Doomsday Lady, yeah. Yeah. She's not a very, I don't think, if I met her at Walmart, I don't think I'd start a friendship with her. So, yeah. She's not my cup of tea.
Slow and steady. Took the time to make sure.
There is a lot of things in the Lori Vallow case that makes you go, you know, it makes you think. She's the one who killed her children, now on trial for conspiracy on the death of her late. Oh. Oh, yes, I remember her now. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I got the, yeah. The one where her brother was in the kitchen and uh-huh. Yeah. Her two kids were supposed to be on their way to school and something. I remember now. Yeah. I wonder if it was her or her brother who actually did the unaliving of her husband. Because she said that she was heading out to the car to take the kids to school. And she heard the bang in the house. Or was that when she was walking around the wall to go to the other side? Because I have that wall between my living room and kitchen too. I can come out of my kitchen on this end, and if my TV wasn't sitting there, I could go right down the wall and come in my kitchen on the other end. And there's just a wall right there. And I can't see or hear, I can't see what's going on the other side of that wall. But, yeah, I'd like to have that wall removed, but it's a support wall. And this one right here I want removed, but it's a support wall. And they said they could get me a beam that I could put up here, and then I could move that, and then I could fix my kitchen. So my kitchen, this would all be kitchen area. But they said that'd cost me like $22,000, and I don't have that in my left back pocket. And I was looking. Amanda Panda gave me a bunch of jeans the other day when I was over to her house, and I looked in all the pockets, and there wasn't $22,000 in none of them pockets neither. Oh, April T, that's a good thing. That's a good thought. Yeah, April T says, I believe it was her brother, but I think it was the setup. It's going to come out in court. I mean, it really is. But either way, I mean, how could she unalive her own children? How can anybody do that? I don't have a right back pocket. Not in these pants. I got a little bitty pocket. Oh, it's even on the left over here in the front of my pants. Little bitty pocket. Oh, well. She's pure. Yes. I agree.
We're the right person. There were some new developments that occurred over the years. You're going to hear testimony with regards to that. But as Mr. Nelson also told you during voir dire, there's some information that was looked back on in a different light. Because, as we all know, sometimes when you hear something in the instant, it means something a little bit more significant once you look back on it. I think that's what they meant then. Or, oh, that really is why that was important. You're going to hear whispers from the past across the void of time that led to these charges. Silent, no more. And we are concluded with this case.
Yeah.
We are confident that you are going to find Nichole Thomas Rice guilty of the murder of Anita Knutson. Thank you.
But then you had the other side. You had defense attorney Richard Sand provided an opening statement that was lengthier than the prosecution's because he called out the Minot Police Department for their investigation, or maybe I should say, in his opinion, lack thereof.
Now, what happened to Anita is terrible. It's awful. It's every
I agree.
family's nightmare. It's every parent's nightmare. It's every town's nightmare. And Anita died in 2007. We're sitting here in 2025. Now, we talked in jury selection about what changed between now and then.
Brown girls, do you know, because I've heard two different sides. Do you know if that was actually a warrant that was issued or if it was only the subpoena and it came across the scanner as being something that it wasn't? Have you heard the truth on that one? Because I heard in one chat that it was a warrant to actually search the house, because the Proudfoots never did let them really totally search the house. They let them in Sebastian's bedroom, but they did never let them search the house. And the Proudfoots didn't let America's Most Wanted in the house to search the house, is what I've been told. I don't know. We'll find out. But and I'm thankful that Bullhorn Betty got her trial moved out of Sumner County into a different county. So the Proudfoots have to go to this other county where they don't have as much pull as they do in Sumner County. I'm thankful for that. Let's see. I would think we would know neighbors in the local news. Yeah, I would think. But the mob crew, Chris, went and was looking for the documents that have been issued, the warrants and the subpoenas and all that stuff. And all they could find was the one subpoena on Katie Proudfoot. That's all he could find. I heard that he got to bring evidence to the next court hearing with BHB. She's got to bring what he's accused her of. And he can't do that. He can't do that because he's been accusing her of things that she's never done. So she said that before the court, she'd never met him face to face. I wonder if he's going to come in sporting his mullet again. Did you see him in panel with Terry Lynn? I didn't. I don't watch Terry Lynn. I didn't even know she actually had a channel. The only time I ever heard of Terry Lynn until just recently was in the beginning, well, maybe July or August, when she was searching with Silver on the Scene. Okay. Now that makes sense if they served him his subpoena. And because I got hold on, let me go get it. I got this, and it says uniform notice to appear. So a police officer said, and on the back it says mandatory. I have to pay court costs, and the amount is to be remitted at appearance. So but mine says uniform notice to appear. And that means a uniformed officer delivered this to me that I have to go to court over. So I have to cancel a dental appointment where I'm supposed to go get my teeth adjusted, and I'm getting blinded here. And I have to, yeah, and Seth, there's no way Seth could have done it. Seth was at work. He has receipts. Right, brown eyed girls. He has to bring the search warrant said was for he's got to bring evidence for the next hearing with BHB. That's what I heard. Yeah, that's just wrong. That's what April T says. Who is she telling Seth to quit his? Right. Seth, the only thing Seth is doing is looking for his child. He's keeping his child's name out there. He wants his son home. I'm sorry, I cannot sit still. Instead of him going panel to panel, in my opinion, tell us what you did to I agree with that. I agree with that. And I mean, until I can see proof otherwise, actual physical proof otherwise, my opinion is that Chris Proudfoot was in town that night. Yes, that Amanda Panda CP is going panel to panel. He went Terry Lynn's, and I think he went on Queen Bee's, and I don't know who else he wanted to go. Queen Bee said he could go on Mob Crew, but Mob Crew, Chris was sick, and he said if he had StreamYard, because he uses something else, and they would have to do a Zoom call or something. But if he had StreamYard, then he would bring CP up on panel, but he didn't have a way to do it without doing a Zoom call. And Chris has been having medical issues. So that's what happens when you spend a weekend taking care of your husband. You lose it, because everything that's going to happen happens on the weekend. And when you're spending husband time, you lose it. I'm teasing you, Amanda Panda. But so yeah, Seth wants his son, and in my opinion, okay, the neighbor at the coworker at the place where they park their trailers at the trailer camp, okay, he said that he saw Chris putting skirting around his trailer at 7 o'clock that night or 8 o'clock that night, that Sunday night. Then the neighbor went to the bar on his motorcycle. When the neighbor came back from the bar at 11 o'clock, Chris's truck was still there. But Chris had also been weekend. And if he had to test drive the car to make sure that it would be able to run for longer than just a day, he would have had to drive it some distance. And I think that the car he was working on after the neighbor left to go to the bar, I think Chris drove that car back to Hendersonville, and he was on the phone with Katie, but his phone was on a three-way call with a burner phone. So he left his phone in his camper he was on the phone with Katie on the burner phone on a three-way call, so that his phone looks like it was still at the camper, but he came all the way back to Hendersonville, did what they did with Sebastian, and then went back to Memphis in the person's car that he had been working on. And I don't know what happened to Sebastian in between, but I think Sebastian was put in Katie's car. And then the next morning, when Katie left and went to the school and drove through the school parking lot, she met up with Kathy Bowersox at Warsham's, and they transferred Sebastian over to Kathy Bowersox's car. And in my opinion, Kathy Bowersox took Sebastian to the rental house that they have in Gallatin, and that's where Sebastian stayed until the police left and everything calmed down, and then they moved Sebastian to another location. That's my theory. But I have no proof. It's just my theory. Buckle up, Trigger. Who's Brown Eyed Girls? Whose live was that? Hold on, there's a child crying right outside my house. Happy birthday, Reality! I'll be right back. There's a child crying outside. I guess she's okay. She got back on her scooter and she's crying, and her mama's heading this way and she's heading back down the block the other way. She might have just fallen. She might have tried to go down my driveway. My driveway is like a 45-degree angle. It's really steep. And the kids like to get on their bikes and scooters and go down it, and she might have fallen. But I'm not responsible, because I didn't even know she was out there. Yeah, I'll bet you have been. I'll bet you have been. I'll bet you have. I ended up getting my son a new computer tower for your birthday. So, but what we've been talking about, have you been listening in the background, Reality? We kind of got off topic here. We were talking about the Anita Knutson case, and 18 years after she was unalived at the age of 18 in her college dorm, they finally went to court, and her roommate, Nichole Rice, they had charged her, and she paid the bond for her $120,000 bond to get out. And she's been out on bond all this time, but they finally went to court, and today it was like March 25th, she was found not guilty. And we started talking about, did we think it was the maintenance guy, because he notified everybody as they were walking over to the apartment. He was like, oh, I found her window screen outside the room and it had been slashed, and I just threw it back into the room until I could take care of it later. And, and then the father looked in through the window and saw the daughter laying with a bloody robe on. Veal Parmesan. Oh, that sounds good. Oh my. I cooked chicken wing, the wing parts in the air fryer, and cooked tater tots in the air fryer. And my son said they were really good. I tried cooking them in the oven and I didn't like them, so I thought, everybody keeps telling me, use your air fryer, use your air fryer. And I'm like, I don't have an air fryer. I have an indoor grill. Then I realized my indoor grill was an air fryer. So I've been using it for everything. I've learned to make French toast with this sounds crazy. Pulled pork, barbecue pulled pork and cheese inside the French toast in the air fryer, and it's really good. My thing is, why was the screen out of it was slashed? Usually it's one or the other, but why both? My daughter's guy friend has made reservations for us girls to go eat at a 5-star restaurant on Thursday. Oh my goodness, you're going to have to take pictures. You're going to have to take pictures. I also pulled pork French toast. Yeah, it was really good. My husband was like, oh my gosh. And then when I made the second one, he was like, I just got to try it. And I said, you just ate the same thing. He said, yeah, but yours has more egg on it. And because when I turned it over, I poured a little bit more of the French toast egg over the top of it so it would cook more. And it was really, really good. I loved it. And then after that, I had some make bratwurst. I don't like bratwurst. I don't like sausage. So then I had some day-old donuts that weren't quite as really fresh as they should be. They were kind of, they weren't soft. And I thought, I know these are still good for something because the glaze on them was still hard. It hadn't melted and stuff like it does when your donuts start to shrivel up and get ucky if you leave them on the counter too long. So what I did was I put it on the plate and I fried an egg and got the white done and left the yolk runny. Fried that. Put the egg on top of the donut, and then when you cut the donut up to eat it and cut the egg yolk gets all over the donut, and it was like sweet and salty and delicious all at the same time. And I got hooked on those. Sweet Italian sausage with marinara or meat sauce is good. I've never tried that. Is that Italian sausage the stuff they put on pizzas? Look. But Scarlett loves them. I am hungry. I missed my dinner because this morning when I was getting ready, I got off the phone with Manda Panda and I was getting ready to go. I went to the bathroom because I needed to go to the bathroom. And then I was getting ready to go to the bank, and that's what I told Manda Panda I was going to the bank. Well, my husband calls me, and he says, are you on your computer? I said, I'm right in front of it. I said, I'm not on it. I'm getting ready to go to the bank. He said, well, get on your computer. I need you to do this. So he showed me how to do a few things he needed me to do on my website because we're transitioning everything off of eBay onto my website, which I'll post my website because you can. It's actually active. You can actually purchase off my website right now. Oh, let me do this. That's my website. You're Italian. I am Indian, Irish, Dutch, German, Polish, and French, I think. So I love Italian food. I've been looking for an Italian restaurant here. Well, in Wichita, not here. I don't live in Wichita. Yeah, I'm white. But I'm Polish. I'm a Polak. So, a German Polak. That's what my dad used to say. We were German Polacks. My mom used to say we were Indians. And the trait I inherited from my mom, I actually got from her father, is the lack of gray hair. I have a little bit right here and a little bit right here. But Amanda Panda gave me an idea. Because when we dyed my son's hair red, she told me to put some of the red color in his conditioner bottle. And then when he took a shower, he could put the conditioner in his hair and it would keep it red for a while. And yeah, and who did a test? Ava found it not a single drop. Do what? Are you trying to tell me you're not related to me, Amanda Panda? Turn it off. It won't ring no more. Especially if it's keeping your little girl awake. But anyway, so what I was thinking is if I get some of that splat silver stuff for silver hair, because it says you don't have to bleach your hair first, then I put it in my conditioner and I mix it all up, then it'll slowly turn my hair gray. That's what I'm thinking. You have not a single drop of Indian? Why are your cheekbones all the way up in your eyeballs if you don't have any Indian in you? I think your ancestry test came back wrong. I know you do have Indian in you because I gave birth to you. And if you didn't have Indian in you, that would mean my mother wasn't my mother. Because I love gray hair. I'm almost 60 years old. I should have gray hair. And no, Amanda Panda, I didn't see it. You told me about it, but I didn't see it. Maybe it's far enough down the line that it didn't show up in you. Because my grandmother, my mom's mother, was full-blood Indian. My grandpa was half Indian. And then my mom, she would have been half Indian. And then that would have made me a quarter Indian. And then you might not have shown up any Indian. But Glenda got a lot of the Indian in her. I think I'm going to try to do one of those ancestry tests and see what mine says. Wouldn't it be, well, no, we couldn't do that. It wouldn't be different. Who has the new Mob Crew video? I saw the one that came out Wednesday, Reality. Has he done one since then? Amanda Panda is Walter Woodward, according to the ancestry. Oh, no, I didn't see that one. Yeah, I know Bubby. He's Walter Jr., Mom's brother's son. Him and Rosie got Indian in them. I don't know about the other two girls, their other two sisters, because Aunt Carol married somebody else after Uncle Walt died. But okay, thank you for being here, Brown Eyed Girls. I'm gonna scoot a little further down this, see what this officer has to say about this.
Of the Minot Police Department. And he explained that for many years, the department had been stretched very thin and said that they welcomed the help from producers and investigators with cold justice.
Has manpower been, unfortunately, a persistent issue with the Minot Police Department?
Yes, as with all law enforcement agents, but definitely Minot PD has been down between 10 and 15, even more than that, since around that time. So
does that cover patrol officers, detectives, the whole?
And they only have one officer working on Sebastian Rogers' case in Sumner County. They only have one officer, but that's the only thing he's doing is Sumner County, is Sebastian Rogers' case. Okay, reality.
Kit and caboodle?
yeah, it does. I mean, it's across the board.
Now, over those 15 years between 2007 and 2022, how has crime changed in the city of Minot?
There was a couple of things that really impacted the crime in Minot. The flood being one of them, and the oil boom in western North Dakota being another. And so crime has increased. We're seeing a lot more violent crime than we ever have prior to that.
So as a result of that, are detectives and other law enforcement officers in the Minot police community stretched a little thinner?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Were you involved in the decision to reach out to potentially podcasters or syndicated television shows, that sort of thing?
We never reached out to them. They reached out to us.
That's what I meant. So they reached out to the Minot Police Department, and you had to make a decision on whether or not you were going to cooperate. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. And what was that decision?
Well, Cold Justice reached out to us and indicated that they had some things that they could provide us that were attractive to us. Logistics was a major one. DNA expert, forensic experts, and cold case investigator assistants. So we reviewed all that, made a decision that with their logistics, we would be able to move forward with this investigation a lot smoother than on our own.
So was that due to the logistical support that the decision was made to utilize them?
That was the major component, and is logistics.
Did their help make it easier for the Minot Police Department to do the work necessary for this case?
It allowed us to move a lot quicker, so yes.
Then you had former police sergeant David Goodman testified that Rice was not home when Anita was discovered. And after calling her employer a couple different times to get her to come back to the apartment, he took her inside to ask if anything was missing or looked out of place. And he claimed Nichole Rice was much more worried about a missing iPod than she was that someone had seemingly entered her apartment and stabbed her roommate to death.
During that entire investigation, did you ever determine that the defendant was not a suspect?
No.
And why is that?
I was suspicious of her from the very beginning, just because of her demeanor when she went into the apartment. Some of those, her information she was giving she was contradicting herself. And I just wasn't buying what she was telling us. Some of it, one of my first interviews with her, we discussed ahead of time, don't tell me any lies, don't be untruthful about anything, because if it's illegal, I don't care about that. I'm looking at the big picture here. And in that interview, she did lie.
What was the lie?
She lied about what she did on that Saturday night, where she was at, and what she did.
He keeps saying, It's kind of like he's trying to think of it, write the story as he's sitting there, not like he was actually there. I don't know. He's trying to make it sound like something that, I don't know.
In your experience, your long experience as a detective, is that significant?
I believe it is, yes.
Why is that significant?
Because it just, in my mind, shows that she's hiding something.
And then the prosecution called Nichole Talbot to the stand. Now, this is the detective I mentioned before who was given this monumental task of combing through the files from 2007, looking at it with a pair of fresh eyes. We're talking looking at documents, video files, audio files, interviews, reports, you name it, and trying to make sense of it all. So she partnered up with the team from Cold Justice. And during cross-examination by Rice's defense counsel, they questioned Talbot about who the team wanted to talk to and whether that included some of the alternate suspects police had previously identified. Remember the theme here? Sloppy investigation. Why did you focus on Rice? Was there anybody else? And this is when things, at times, got a little testy.
Cold Justice was in town. Did you do it?
I think this, what he just said, is exactly where we're sitting with the Sebastian case. It was sloppy in the beginning, and now they're saying that they know what happened, but they're not going any further with it. I'm thinking if we brought cold case people in, if we could get the cold case team to come in, and that might be where Jen Coffendaffer was going when she said last week that the Sebastian Rogers case is becoming a cold case. She may want it to go into cold case so that we can bring the cold case crew in to help find Sebastian. That's a thought. That is a thought.
Do interviews alongside Cold Justice employees or representatives of Cold Justice?
One would accompany me, yes.
So like a producer of Cold Justice or one of the faces of Cold Justice, a TV person?
Yes.
TV person was sitting in on interviews you were doing during your investigation.
They were casual
Did they suggest
interviews.
that you call Devin Hall in their review?
As far
This woman right here must be her mother, because they look like they could be twin sisters. So this must be her mother. And she don't look too happy. And she definitely don't look too happy.
as
Give him a call. Go talk to him. See what he knows. Re-interview him.
they had a list of people they wanted us to talk to, which we talked to.
Devin wasn't one of them.
No.
And then when you made calls, these people were sitting with you at points.
Objection asked and answered.
I'll withdraw it. How long were they in town for? How long was Cold Justice in town with you guys?
I think 7 to 10 days. I don't exactly remember.
Did you have contact with them outside of the time they were in town?
We might have spoke on the phone a couple times, but I don't recall how many.
So they came into town, they worked, they reviewed the file, they worked with you guys to get justice, and then they were gone.
Yes,
Except for the documentary they released, right? They did that, right?
correct.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you, officer.
So by that line of questioning, the defense seemed to be implying that the TV show personnel, they were just there to get in, get as much good footage as possible, decide on a likely suspect, get out to move on to the next case. So could they have really done a good investigation in just a few days? The defense team has said multiple times, both before trial and during it, that Minot police felt pressure to pin the charges on someone thanks to all the publicity generated by cold justice. So then you move on to people who knew Nichole Rice, her coworkers. So Rice had two jobs, one at a call center.
Okay. So if we could get cold justice to come into Sumner County would feel the pressure to have to pin this Sebastian on somebody, and the only person they can pin it on is a Proudfoot or a Valor Sox. That's my thought. We need cold justice.
Center and another at a mall dress shop. Her then supervisor at the call center came on the stand and testified about whether Rice talked about the situation with her roommate at work and what Rice's demeanor was like on the day Anita was found dead.
What sort of things did the defendant say about her and her roommate?
She had just talked about her situation at their apartment.
What did she say about the situation?
Just that they weren't getting along. She was some strange things, like she was locked out of the Wi-Fi, and I remember her telling me that she was locked out of a microwave or something. Things that just seemed strange at the time, but a little bit ridiculous, you know?
How did she seem when she talked about these?
They must have had one of them microwaves like my sister was telling me about. You could put a code into the front of the microwave so that children cannot open the microwave or they can't turn it on or whatever. Because that way a child's not going to put a fork or a spoon or something in the microwave and turn it on for 10 minutes and catch the whole house on fire. So it's like a safety mechanism. They must have had one of those kind of microwaves.
She was kind of stuck in a bad spot. She made it seem like she was up at my desk, and I just remember her talking to me that it always ended in, what am I supposed to do? Or what do I do? What do I do? Or what am I supposed to do? Type of things. Every time she would talk about their living situation, she was stuck in this. She was very worried about the lease.
What do you mean she was worried about the lease?
Well, because I would tell her that just move out, and she'd say she couldn't because she was in a lease. She was just very worried about the lease that they had at the time, that she couldn't get out of this situation.
Were you working there on June 4th of 2007?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Was Nichole working there that day?
Yes.
Do you remember how she was acting that day?
Was this the day that the police called me and stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
I mean, it's not like the fresh to my memory, but I remember she seemed a bit like hurried that day, you know, a little bit sped up, going about her thing, not as social as usual. She was kind of quick to get to her desk and things.
Would that have been different than the way she would act on other days?
Possibly, yeah.
Do you recall when dispatch called about getting... Were you there for a phone call from dispatch?
Yes, they called.
What did they call about?
They called me and said that Nichole needed to go to her apartment.
Did they give you any information beyond that?
No, they did not.
Did you relay that information to Nichole?
Yes, I did.
And what did she say in response?
I went to her and I said, the police called, you have to go to your apartment. And she just kind of, I don't even think she looked at me. From what I remember, she just said, no, my roommate's a crackhead. I'm
Not guilty. All I need is Jesus coffee and true crime. The verdict was not guilty. Have you been keeping up on this case? This Anita I can't never say her name. Anita Knutson and Nichole Rice. Okay, 18 years ago, in 2007, these two girls were roommates in high school. And this Anita Knutson, they were roommates in college, I'm sorry. This Anita Knutson was found unalived. You watched it live, but you didn't see the verdict? The verdict was not guilty. And now they're telling the story of what happened.
I'm not dealing with it and this and that. And I was kind of just like,
This
okay. So I went back to the phone and I relayed that to the police on the phone, and they said, well, she either comes here now or we're going to come there and take her here.
Did you relay that information to the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And what was her response to that?
I believe she up and left.
Well, then you had one of Rice's former co-workers, Donna, take the stand as well. Now, look, I'll just call it out right now. Her appearance on the stand was a little different. Donna, now I believe 78 years old, was wearing a visor and sunglasses due to a medical condition that makes her eyes sensitive to light. But she said that she knew from her first interaction with Nichole Rice that she didn't get along with Anita.
You remember the very first day you met her?
Yeah, I remember the first things that she said to me, yes.
Okay. What were the first things that she said to you?
What do you think about a roommate that sets their alarm, locks the door and leaves, and you can't get in to turn the alarm off?
How did she seem when she said that to you?
She was angry. She was angry when she sat down complaining about it.
Okay. Is that the only time that the defendant was angry about her roommate?
Right.
No, she was.
I remember that. I remember their testimony. Yes, I do. I had seen it on the trial, and yeah, I wanted to cry for them. I guess this is somebody that they worked with.
Was angry with her, I would say, on a daily basis.
Okay.
Something was going on. They fought a lot.
Okay. And how do you know that?
She told me. She said when they got into fights that Anita would go in and lock her door, her bedroom door.
Okay. And
so that she wouldn't, have it out with her. She'd go into the bedroom door.
so Anita would walk away from her.
Yes, Anita would go into the bedroom and lock the door.
Which to me sounds like a very adult thing to do. You walk away from the situation rather than letting it escalate. You de-escalate. That sounds very adult.
How did the defendant seem to you when she would convey these things to you about her?
She was very angry.
Can you recall another incident?
She about to smile.
Yes, she was very upset because they had had an argument. Anita wanted her to get rid of the fish tank.
Okay, there was a fish tank in the apartment?
Yeah, weekend, because she had just gotten back. The police took her and her parents to the scene of the crime. And when she came back, so it was right after that, in answering your question.
Okay, so she told you that they thought she did it then?
Yes.
Okay.
And she said,
what'd she say?
She said, if I keep my mouth shut, I'll be okay.
A man named William May was also called to the stand the following day to talk about his connection with the defendant.
If I keep my mouth shut, I'll be okay. Okay.
Defendant. The two were together in the summer of 2008. This is the year after Anita was killed. And he wouldn't go as far as to say that they were dating per se, but said, they spent some time together. And he claimed she made a stunning admission to him one night at a house party when she was what he believed to be quite drunk.
At this house party, do you recall people talking about Anita's death?
Yeah, so we were playing video games and we were sitting on the couch. Nichole and I were sitting on the couch and a couple buddies were playing video games and someone from the kitchen was talking about it, and that's when it was stated, the comment.
When what was stated?
The comment was that from Nichole Rice, it was that she had did it, that she had killed Anita.
Nichole said that.
Yes.
However, the thing about that is May did admit that when he later tried to get Rice to repeat what she'd said, repeat it when you're sober, she refused and adamantly denied the allegation. Now, another person to offer up an alleged so-called confession from Rice was her aunt, Brenda Glynns. Now, the two were on a long drive together from New Mexico back to North Dakota, which is when Rice allegedly told Glynns some disturbing details, including that Anita looked peaceful laying on the bed.
Do you recall what she told you?
She told me that there was a cut screen and the person, whoever did this, cut the screen and was hiding in her bedroom, waiting for Anita to come out of the shower to make the attack.
Okay. Did she tell you anything else?
She said that it was so horrible. She said to just see Anita lying there, but she looked so peaceful, covered up
Did she say
with a
anything?
robe, and said that there was a bowl of water in the bathroom sink that whoever did this washed themselves up and washed the knife up.
Okay. I think I stepped over some of your words there. You said that she said that Anita looked peaceful lying there in her robe.
Yes.
Did she say anything else to you? During that trip?
She was very upset that her iPod was gone, that the person, whoever did this, stole her iPod. She said that...
Were iPods a big thing in 2007? I don't remember. Amanda Panda, you would have been 13. Did you have an iPod? I think you did. I think I remember you having one. Were they I know they were a big thing for a while, but I don't remember when it was.
Anita was raped and stabbed. And there was no, but it appears to be no struggle.
Now, to be clear about something, the medical examiner found no evidence of sexual assault here. But the defense used their opportunity to cross-examine the prosecution's witnesses on multiple occasions, poking holes in theories, sowing some seeds of reasonable doubt. And when it came time for the defense to present its side, they called just one witness, a retired FBI agent turned private investigator named James Douglas Coons. And the defense had hired him to look at this case from top to bottom, to basically start over. And he...
Wait a minute.
They called just one witness, a retired FBI agent turned private investigator named James Douglas Coons. And the defense...
Retired FBI turned private eye. Are we talking about Steve Fisher? See, there's a lot of things in this that are crossing over and could line up with Sebastian. I mean, I know Steve Fisher was never a private eye. I mean, never FBI. I probably had that right the first time. But he was never FBI. but he was a private eye, or so he says. Coon 2007 was after Lexi, but not really. It would be almost out of date. Right. Yeah, Lexi was. Gosh, I thought I got divorced in 2008. No, I got divorced in 2004, didn't I? Because you were 14 when I got divorced. You just turned 14. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2007 is the year CJ was born. And iPods weren't big then.
Defense had hired him to look at this case from top to bottom, to basically start over. And he pointed out several flaws or apparent flaws in the investigation.
Now, there's been some testimony from Sergeant Ashram about inconsistencies in Nichole's interviews.
Yes.
Are you aware of that? What are your thoughts about those inconsistencies?
You know, I saw him too. We also talked about how, this happened in 2007. She's been interviewed multiple times, I think at least 4 times, over 17, 18-year period now. And the story has changed a little bit. Again, I don't see anything that jumps out to me as like, oh my God, we got her.
The story keeps changing. The story keeps changing. It won't allow your comment. What comment? Text it to me.
Her. It's small details. It's like we went from the house in Velva to the family function, and then in this first version we left out the bar.
Yeah.
But why is that significant? She still isn't back in Minot where she would have had access to Anita. We know that there was this drunken party, and that Nichole has been reported as being belligerently drunk. Now, was she the only one that was that drunk? I don't know. How drunk was everybody else? How drunk were the people that allegedly heard this confession? So the story was that, and this is according to May,
I don't know what you mean by
she was
coon.
being asked about the murder and hassled about it. And at
It's
some
like-
point,
it's like
she
the
just said, I
raccoon.
did it. And that was the end of it. And so it doesn't make sense for me. So was there no logical follow-up conversation to that? Was there, I would think you would continue to get questions about, really, why did you do it? And a lot of this. And then I also looked for where was this ever reported to law enforcement? And I never found it anywhere in all that materials.
Based on everything that we went over, Nichole, and your training and experience as an FBI agent, what's your expert opinion regarding the allegations about Nichole in this case?
Although it's not impossible, I don't think it's likely that she's responsible.
So, after a week of testimony, the prosecution and defense moved into closing arguments on March 25th.
And law enforcement.
Coons, Kouns.
Assault here. But the defense used their opportunity to cross-examine the prosecution's witnesses on multiple occasions, poking holes in theories, sowing some seeds of reasonable doubt. And when it came time for the defense to present its side, they called just one witness, a retired FBI agent turned private investigator named James Douglas Coons. And the defense had hired him to look at this case from top to bottom, to basically start over. And he pointed out several flaws or apparent flaws in the investigation.
Now, there's been some testimony from Sergeant Ashram about inconsistencies.
See, it's Kouns. Coons. But the text to speak said COONS. But it's KOUNS.
Of Nichole.
March 25th.
And was adamant about what they held back in this case. The bowl of water in the bathroom, Anita's body and what she was wearing, her position on the bed, the cut in the screen. These are important holdbacks.
You still got two
These
fingers
are all
pointing at
pieces of
yourself,
information
woman.
the defendant possessed and conveyed to people at times when she should not have had that information. And as you heard the defense's own expert say, the only logical conclusion is that she was there. So again, these inconsistent statements to law enforcement and to others. Next. And the confessions. I did it. I was arguing with her about an alarm clock. She was wearing a white bathrobe, and I stabbed her. Ladies and gentlemen, taking the totality of all of this information, eliminating
When
the
did
other
you say
persons
that?
of interest through investigation, there's only one conclusion to be drawn. Most importantly, from the defendant's knowledge and her admissions. Admissions to friends, and what she told her Aunt Brenda, whose heart was breaking about this. There's only one conclusion to be drawn, and that is that in the early morning hours of June 3rd, 2007, Nichole Rice took this knife and plunged it into the chest of this girl and killed her. The state asks you to find her guilty.
They're asking you to find this girl guilty on 20-year-old hearsay. It's baloney. Think about this for a second. She leaves her family house in the middle of the night, goes in, kills her roommate, who's got a lock on her door. Like Dexter cleans the scene. No DNA. Scrubbed. Nichole lives in this apartment. There's no DNA. Her DNA's not on the knife. Her DNA's not on Anita. And then she texts her after. Long after. The state expects you to believe that she did that and came home and went on with her life. You see her sitting here. That's not James Bond. This didn't happen. Then the state's got the gall to ask Agent Coons why we didn't do more work investigating this case. We did a heck of a lot of work. And we have no obligation. We have no obligation to hire investigators and to hire experts and everything else to do an investigation that they didn't do. They admittedly didn't do. They didn't review the files. It's Nichole's job. That's a terrifying thing. If you're an American citizen, you got to hire your own police because they're not doing it. She wasn't hiding from this. There were people that were.
Yeah, you'd think in 20 years, even though she paid the bond to get out, in 18 years, since she wasn't being held, she could have gone anywhere. She wasn't on probation or parole or anything. She could have moved to Cancun and not ever have been extradited back here or any other country that doesn't extradite back. She could have run. She could have fled. But she didn't. She stayed right here.
What you're seeing here is a totally unprepared police department and state's attorney's office. You're seeing baseless charges, and they're going after an innocent woman. because they're pressured. You have no idea what these TV cameras do to these people. And I'm not blasting police. Police are good people. But what you're seeing in this case is garbage. It's absolute garbage. It's insanity. You heard it from Agent Coons. I can't state it enough. They didn't read the file before they charged her. We read the file before they did. They keep telling you that their big issue is this hunch on Nichole because of her behavior. And then you heard, and you'll see it in the transcripts, top of the transcript, Nichole was crying at the scene when she got there. I can't make these police testify to what they said. I've shown them a lot, but that doesn't sound like what they were saying. She's crying. She's not acting stoic. She's crying. They asked her, they brought her into the apartment. Is anything missing? Yeah, my iPod is. Now all of a sudden they're latching onto that. Cops are asking you a question. What's missing? It looks like my iPod's missing. She should have just said nothing and lawyered up. Instead, she tried to help them out. That was a bad idea with these people. People like Nichole don't kill people over alarm clocks. We know that. Toxic roommate. They're telling.
I spent the night at Amanda Panda's house this last week. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, her alarm started going off so she could take her medication that her doctor prescribed that she has to take and then go back to sleep for an hour and then get up and take her other medicine. Her alarm went off at 5 o'clock in the morning. And it kept going off. It kept going off. Finally, about 5:10, I got up and went in the living room. And I was like, I'm not going to go in there and wake her up. If she's sleeping so well that she doesn't hear her alarm, she needs the rest. So I didn't go wake her up. And at that point, since I was sleeping at her house, I was her roommate for that night. You're lucky I could have unalived you, lady. You know, I told you when you were about 3, I brought you into this world and I could take you out. I wouldn't, though, because I love Amanda Panda. When she finally got up later after her husband got home from work, I was like, she's like, why are you up so early? I said, because your alarm went off. She said, you should have woke me up. I know how this lady is when you wake her up. She was sleeping good, so I let her sleep. My husband didn't get woke up from it, and I went back to sleep in the recliner on her couch, so that's fine.
You read the texts. Look at the alarm clock. The fish. We all went to college. I went to college. Everybody's been in plenty of disputes with their siblings and roommates. We talked about this at opening and during jury selection. People like Nichole don't kill people over that. I've told you that before. It's true. I don't think after any of this there's any option to come back with a not guilty verdict. Nichole didn't do this.
The jury got the case at around 3 p.m. on March 25th, and the next morning they announced that they reached a verdict.
It is my understanding that you have reached a verdict, correct? Okay. Thank you. The court will now have the clerk read the verdict.
State of North Dakota, in District Court, County of Ward, North Central Judicial District. State of North Dakota Plaintiff versus Nichole Aaron Rice, Defendant. Criminal number 51 2022 CR 00421. Verdict form. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, find the defendant Nichole Aaron Rice not guilty of the information dated at Grand Forks, North Dakota, this 26th day of March 2025.
Is this the jury's verdict? Can you calm down a little bit, please? Is this the jury's verdict? Okay, the juror nodded Jury leader nodded. Ms. Sorgan, do you wish the jury polled?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Sand, do you wish the jury polled?
No, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you very much for your service. We appreciate the time that you've allotted for this case. You are now excused. My admonition no longer applies to you, so you can talk about this case if you choose to do so, and you can also not talk about the case if you choose to do so. Please rise.
Okay, got to say something about this. So we here at Law and Crime, we're pretty shocked by this courtroom reaction. Why? Because it's not so much that the defense team, the defendant, her family members, and so on had such a boisterous reaction. That's understandable. This is actually one of the more vocal ones and expressive ones I've seen. But it was a bit unusual, at least from my perspective, for a judge to not immediately shut that kind of reaction down. I mean, you heard it a little bit on the end, but it was surprising because most judges, they give an admonition before a verdict's announced that anyone making so much as a peep could be removed from the courtroom or even held in contempt. And I'll tell you, in the days after the not guilty verdict, the Sand law firm released a statement acknowledging what they seem to suggest was a breach of courtroom decorum. The statement read, "Our team has been working tirelessly for 3 years to prepare for this trial. During that time, we became extremely close to our client's family. What the courtroom cameras didn't see were our daily group prayers alongside our client's family, emotional conversations, and our team standing by as our client and her daughter said their goodbyes prior to the verdict being read. Justice would not have been served by convicting the wrong person." When the verdict was read, we reacted emotionally. We sincerely apologize to anyone who was offended, especially to Anita Knutson's family. The loss of Anita is heartbreaking, and we in no way intended disrespect. But here's the thing about it. While the not guilty verdict was a win for Rice, okay, put on a great defense, prosecution failed to meet their burden, very clear, we respect the jury's decision, there's still no answer about what happened to Anita, right? No justice one way or another for her or her family. And the question becomes, if Nichole Rice didn't kill Anita, who did? That's all we have for you right here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you
So, this new light, I got a new light and it kind of washes me out. See, it's too dark without it. Wow, I'm not even there. Is that better? No, it's over. It's done. That's the end of it. Unless they find out who did it. But I think that the who did it unalived himself before the trial started. Because when the landlady, Anita, they haven't found justice for her yet. But the apartment manager was living with the maintenance guy. And she said that just before the trial started, he had unalived himself. So it's possible that it was her testimony that let the jury know that Miss Rice was not guilty, because the jury in their own mind might have thought that the maintenance guy did it because of the way his fiance, the apartment manager, testified about it. So, but thank you for being here. Something nice for someone, even if it's just make them smile. Get Locker.